I'm down in Tennessee. This is Highway 96 in Franklin, Tennessee. This is the road that George Jones had his accident on. Uh, they renamed this section of 96 George Jones Memorial Highway. The accident occurred March the 6th, 1999. It actually took 2 hours for paramedics to cut him out. It turned out he had a collapsed lung, internal bleeding. His most severe injury was a ruptured liver. He was on a ventilator for a few days, but it's a miracle he was able to go home after being in Vanderbilt Hospital for 13 days. Turns out he was talking on a cell phone, wasn't wearing a seatbelt. He was having trouble with his cassette tape. He was playing his new album or his new CD for his stepdaughter, and he was messing around with the cassette player, hit the bridge, and he was drinking and driving, and he went to court and pleaded guilty. He was fined $550. However, he was able to keep his license. So right down here, I found where the this part of the concrete bridge looks newer than the rest of it. But remember, this is 21 years ago. But I can kind of tell here. And if you look closer, a little bit closer, I'll zoom in a little more. You can see this has been patched in. So in my opinion, this is where it happened. He was heading home, and let's see if we can find the house. I'll come up a little more. Okay, he lived on a Nashville down drive, and he's down this way. This is the main gate to the home, and you come down a long drive, and this is George Jones's home. Before I zoom down, I want to talk about the property a little bit. All through here was George's property. It consisted of almost 80 acres. Came around this way. He also had this little sliver, this section here. The property had two lakes, lake number 1, lake number 2. This was the back entrance to the property. You'd come in this gate, there's a side road that leads to the back of the house. This is where he kept his bus. It had or it has 2 caretaker homes that's been remodeled. This whole section they tried to sell a few years before George died, but just didn't have any buyers. So what they ended up doing was dividing it up into plots to sell it off. And Nancy eventually sold this part here for $1.98 million. The people that bought it won a large settlement through a timeshare lawsuit, and they won, and they bought the property. What I'm going to do now is we'll go back to where the accident occurred, and then we will trace it with my vehicle, and then after that, stay tuned to the end, because I have several pictures to share with you inside the home. This is the stone at the main entrance. This dirt mound is where it used to sit. Every year, George and Nancy would decorate for Christmas. They would open these gates to the public. It was just breathtaking. Merry Christmas. And don't be afraid to say Merry Christmas this year. Here's some outbuildings. You can see George's tour bus there. George's outside kitchen. This is a informal setting area. George's closet. This is another setting area at the top of the stairs. One of the offices, there's 2 offices within the home. Gold and platinum records. George would get his hair cut every 2 weeks. This is what you see when you first come in the home. This is the entrance to the home as well. The kitchen area. Master bedroom. Master bathroom. George's 1999 Lexus SUV. It was a brand new vehicle back then. They found a half-empty bottle of vodka under the seat. George was lucky to get away from this one. It took over 2 hours for them to free him. A local physician actually bought the vehicle and put it on display. I think the doctor paid $22,000 for it. The doctors at Vanderbilt was calling George Jones the miracle man because not only did he survive, but he was able to go home about 13 days. I think it was 13 days after the accident. George went back on the road doing what he just loved to do, and that was performing for his fans. He would often say, as long as the fans would show up, he would do shows. He did cut back some, but I was still able to see him 13 times throughout the years. I like real country music. I don't call it old. I don't call it traditional. I call it real country music. George Jones, by far, is my favorite performer. I can listen to him every day, and I often do. George Jones, the best. Thanks for watching the video. Please remember to subscribe and hit the bell. By hitting the bell, will notify you when I put another video up. So thanks again, and I'll see you at the top.